Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for attending Skip-a-Pay History Dashboard. Your instructors today are Alan and Keegan. This session is expected to last 30 minutes. So to facilitate answering questions you have during the broadcast, hover over the bar at the top of your screen, choose More, Chat, and All Panelists. You may send questions at any time. With that, let's get started.
Hello, everybody. A couple days after a holiday, I think we are. So for those of you who are still in holiday mode, we're talking about skip pays, which is pretty convenient for talking about holidays because a lot of credit unions sell skip pays around the holiday time frame. Very good scheduling on our part in regards to talking about We totally planned this regarding skip pay. So a couple of housekeeping tips outside of the introduction comments there. For those of you that have joined us for every session, I want to thank you guys for doing so. Pretty much every Thursday at 3 o'clock for the next quite a few weeks that we'll be together looking at a tool within CU Base. If you take a look at our executive study group site, study.cuanswers.com, and you take a look at the current study groups and go under our 2017 dashboard dive, you'll be able to see all of the videos that we've done historically. So if yourself, if you want to maybe review a session that we've previously done, if you'd like to advertise some of these to your team members to let them know that we have these videos out there. Love to have you guys provide some commentary out there. In addition to that, you do have the ability to add some comments as well. So if you have some best practices, maybe some suggestions, I use this dashboard because of this reason, or something along those lines, we'd love to hear from you guys as well. We also have the ability, as we move into the future for some of our other opportunities, that you have the opportunity to be a co-host. So if you want to earn a $25 gift card and join us just on the conference call in these particular sessions, we'd love to have you as well. So take a look at those options. Let us know if there's something that you have questions on. Don't hesitate to reach out to us via email and let us know. Cool. Well, that said, let's go ahead and pop into the dashboard. So we're going to actually look at a couple different credit unions here. We're going to look at a test credit union, and then we'll look at a live credit union when looking at the analytical information because of the member information that is there. So we'll talk about a couple of different options there. So the first thing I'm going to do is just search for the word skip, and I'm going to see that tool number 817 is the Skip a Payment History Dashboard. For those of you who don't know, we have a couple different automated skip-a-pay programs available within CU Base. We have a skip-a-payment program that you have the ability to define your rules. You do that through the actual configuration. This is the inquiry-only option. I don't have access to the actual configuration option in our test credit union because maybe they don't trust me. I don't know. No, we lock it down so that nobody can get in there and play around with it. But if you guys have a skip-a-pay program today and you're looking to really increase some of the awareness and exposure related to those particular skip pay opportunities, taking a look at some of the options in CU Base are a great opportunity. If you happen to have a skip pay disclosure, a form, a flyer, or something along those lines that outlines all of your exclusion criteria, and you want to send that our way, we'd be happy to review it and provide you with some suggestions as to how you can use the CU Base tool. The dashboard, the Skip-a-Pay History Dashboard, was really it was the effect, or it was the result of all the conversations we had related to skip pays, I guess is the best way to put it. So as our credit unions were creating skip pay opportunities within CU Base and members were initiating skip pay opportunities by themselves within online banking, hint, that's one of the best opportunities that you have associated with configuring your skip pay in CU Base, we needed a way to track those. So we went back to the drawing board and we said, that's great, we have the automated reports that tell you who skipped a payment, but we also wanted to create a dashboard style view. So when you come into this skip pay history inquiry, the first thing that we get is really related to the individual member data associated with those that skipped a payment. So if we start looking at these on a line, and again, we're in our test credit union, so we only have 3 of them out here. If I went back to a prior year, I might be able to get a little bit more. What are some of the things that stick out to you initially when we start looking at some of this data?
So the first thing I like is the fact that I've got a filter there. I see I can actually break this into either to both to look at specifically only online skips or internal skips. So if I am heavily promoting the ability to do online skips, I really want to see how is that succeeding compared to the standard model, if you will, of members coming in or calling in and saying, I want to apply a skip with you internally. Now, I don't know.
So that type of member may be a different member altogether. They're an e-services member, an online member. They're super happy about doing business themselves, and I'd like to know about that.
Right, and we don't see it here, but I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, in the configurations, you can set up a different fee level for those as well. So we could be charging them different fees, and now we can get to see totals financially as well.
Yeah, what I see credit unions do there, if you guys are looking for having a separation of maybe a online skip-a-pay fee versus a in-person skip-a-pay fee, I would set up two different programs. I've seen a lot of credit unions do that, where maybe your online skip-a-pay fee is $25, but it's $35 if you talk to a warm body at the credit union. So that might be a way where you push members to use the online delivery channel for their skip payment processes.
I also really like how I can immediately see, so I've got individualized data laying out in the dashboard, but it's really helpful for me to see it just on the fly, maybe pop into the tool and pop back out as a contextual point to see the summary in the top right. What is the total dollars actually skipped, and how many skips accounts for that. Maybe the numbers seem a little low or high to me, or maybe I've set a goal for myself for number of skips we want to get members engaged with, and I can quickly check whether I'm at under or above that goal.
So we had a question come in while you were talking there a second, not to interrupt here, Annalyn. Question, we do skip pays annually, October to December, probably a holiday skip pay would be my guess. I put in a date range of January 1st, 2016 to July 6th, 2017, and I'm not getting anything on the screen. Marcy, I would suggest going out and taking a look to see if you're actually doing your skip pays in CU base. That may be something that you talk to your team about. So if you're not doing your skip pays in CU base, or you're not using the CU base skip pay tool, you wouldn't see anything in this dashboard. So that's a very important point to make. Prior to us creating the skip pay software, which was probably a year and a half to maybe 3 years old, credit unions were still doing skip payments, but maybe they were just modifying the loan, updating the loan account, whatever it may be. So Marcy, I'd double check with your team as to what your team is doing and how they're processing a skip pay, and we'd be happy to touch base with you on those particular processes. Back to your comments real quick, Annalyn. I totally agree. I love that summary in the upper right-hand corner. It allows me to look at understanding how much money I made during the time period that's being referenced. Now, for the sake of our demonstration here, I went back to January 1st, 2015, but I could have just looked at yesterday. I could have just looked at last week. I could have just looked at maybe the last 2 weeks. I could start to see the effects of marketing. Maybe I sent out an email 2 weeks ago. I'd like to see how that email had an impact in that 2-week time frame, right after the email, compared to a time frame where I didn't send an email, something along those lines. So you can start playing with some of those opportunities related to differences in regards to marketing, contact opportunities, or just operational changes, right?
And depending on your configuration, in addition to date range manipulation, you may configure different skip pay programs. So if you have multiple skip pay programs, if you click on the lookup there, you can actually break it down into different, maybe a spring skip and a fall skip or something. The labeling is up to you, I'm sure, in the configuration, but you can now localize anything that's been posted under that specific program.
So based on the question that came in, I run a skip-a-pay program between October and December. I might have a holiday 2017 skip pay program compared to a holiday 2016 skip pay program. And I'm starting to be able to understand that I can compare each individual program to determine how much I made last year, what is the effect of it, how many were online, how many were internal, compared to all of these. Now, hopefully, as time goes on, we hope that you guys will see that as you're developing more and more skip pay programs and talking about skip pay programs with your members, that more and more people will find the online delivery channel as a great way to do so. Now, another way, or another popular way that I see a lot of credit unions configure skip pay opportunities is setting up an annual skip pay program. So what that means is I set up one skip pay program for the year, and I allow my members to choose any time during the year when they want to skip their payment. That's been a pretty popular strategy as well. So I may see a 2017 skip pay. Tell me about the class of 2017 skip pays compared to the 2016 skip pays, and providing information there. So that may be another neat feature that credit unions wish to pursue.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me, give your members the opportunity. Maybe the holiday time frame isn't a great time for them to do a skip pay, but the month of May is. The month of April is, where you may not traditionally allow a skip pay program during your normal holiday skip pay program, but during the course of the year, it may make a fit for that particular group. So I've seen a lot of credit unions move in that direction. There are hard-coded things in place, such as they can't skip 2 payments in a row, and they still need to meet your exclusion criteria and all that other sort of good stuff, so on and so forth. So lots of different options there related to the skip pay opportunity.
And if you go that route, if you have an open all year program essentially, then one particular column here becomes really valuable on the right-hand side, where you can filter the date that the skip was submitted, processed. So you can start to see if there's any interesting trends. Maybe, like you said, May is a really popular month, and you never would have guessed that. But there's something in your community that happens around that time where it just makes sense for members to be requesting skips around that.
So that might mean I might want to market around May, or maybe in April, to say, hey, our skip pay is still available, blah, 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 whatever your marketing message may be. Question that just came in: where is the fee taken from that the member is choosing? The member gets to choose. So if they're in online banking and they go ahead and process a skip payment, I did one in my credit union not too long ago. I got to choose between my available savings and checking accounts where that fee would come from. If you're processing it internally for the actual member in front of you through phone operator, through CU-Base, or whatever, wherever it may be, you have the opportunity to choose there as well where that fee is taken from. So really up to you and the member what you would allow for that fee to be taken.
Good question.
So we talked about the program, and then we also talked about, or we didn't mention the ID. The employee ID is another filter up there. So tell me a little bit about employee ID and your thoughts there, Alan.
So employee ID can actually help you narrow this down to specific. If you have specific employees kind of working on the skips or responsible for processing the skips, now you can control this dashboard to the level of narrowing it down so that each individual employee get a snapshot of the person you know, of the people you know have been working on this. You can get a picture of who's been working on it already as well if you're not sure at your specific credit union by looking on the dashboard itself all the way to the right-hand side, the very far right column, employee ID, we've got those listed there. An interesting note is that if they are an online skip pay, it will be notated with employee ID 96. So you'll see those as well, and that's not an actual credit union employee, obviously. But you can control, rather than choosing the ID lookup, go find 96, you can actually control that with this piece right next to it to filter by online, internal, or all.
You got it. So employee ID, tell me which employee ID is responsible for the most skip pays. Tell me which online delivery channel is more aggressive related to skip pays. And you can start to summarize and create a story related to a lot of this data. And we actually help you with that story when we get into the analysis button here in a moment. But there's some other neat tools at the bottom of the screen. So if I start my 2016 skip pay promotion or my 2017 skip pay promotion, I might want to look at everybody that had a skip pay in 2016. I might want to simply just contact them and use the Export Member Connect feature to let them know that the skip pay program is available again. Exclusions still apply, blah, blah, blah. Whatever that story may be, that might be my community of people that I want to reach out to and market to. Hey, your skip pay is available again. Reach out to your credit union or go online to see if you qualify, type of message. So those Export Member Connect features, we haven't really hit on those very much when we start talking a lot about our dashboards, but know that they are there on almost every single dashboard that has a member group associated with them. So you should definitely take a look at what those opportunities are. I do have the ability to toggle between the program description and the actual member name if that's what you're interested in as well. So just another display option that I have available. And then finally, before we get into the analysis, the Common Bonds opportunity. What do you think about the Common Bonds tools, Annalyn? And what can they help provide to our credit unions?
Well, of course, if you're familiar with Common Bonds, you know account composition and membership traits can give you some really cool demographics, categorization, and details on this group of members. But my mind jumps to, I don't know about you, but my mind jumps to credit history trends right away.
Especially seeing as we're talking about loans, right?
Exactly. Yeah, I would want to maybe jump in, and it's going to carry my group, in this case only 3 because it's our test environment, but it's going to carry this group we've just data mined through this dashboard into the credit history trends dashboard. So now instead of your full membership picture, you're looking at only your skip folks and what have been their trends with credit scores over time for any credit score records we have on file. Look at percentage changes up or down. And
if I find that all of them maybe decreased by 5% that skipped a payment, I'm going to reach out to my collections team and give them a heads up, right?
Exactly.
Or if I was the collector, I might want to say, are we sure we're marketing this skip pay to the appropriate audience? So you can start to create some analyses there and create the story surrounding that data. And you said it perfectly. These 4 Common Bonds options are really a consistent test that I can create on a group of members. So if you said, give me the ages of everybody who did a skip pay in 2016, I could get that breakdown in either the account composition or membership traits, or give me the breakdown of all of the members that did a skip pay in the month of December. Did they have a checking account? Maybe that's a community of individuals where I found a trait that is similar, that they performed a skip pay in the month of December 2016, and only 1% of them have a checking account. For whatever reason, that's a population that has something consistent together that I have the ability to reach out to. These are often not taken into consideration because we're looking at skip pays and we're thinking, wow, I just want to talk about skip pays. I just want to know about my skip pay information. But there's more to the story. I always talk about the whole concept of member persona. So what is the persona of the member that populated this data? Or the group of members that populated the data? Is there an opportunity here? If I look at all my skip pay loans and see that my credit history trends are moving in the right direction, that might be an opportunity to say, we have other loan opportunities that may be available. So put your thinking caps on for how we can actually take a look at this data and look at the persona of the member to talk a little bit further related to some of that information.
One thing I just thought of might be cool is maybe, and this is, Common Bonds is really for the curious-minded person.
Sure.
It's taking analytics next level for the group we've found on the base level of this dashboard. But, hypothetically, what if we were to say online? We're looking at only online. We take that group now, we filtered to only online, we take it into Common Bonds and maybe find out what zip codes these people are located in. And if you have a membership base that is wide-reaching across multiple states, or you have a lot of international members, now you can maybe start to pin down the frequency of skips online in regions that are XYZ miles away versus the close to the branch ones for internal, and they're coming in. It's just interesting to see those numbers. I'm not sure what you would do with it at this point, but it could be interesting.
Well, hopefully you'd market with it somehow, right? I might want to find more people that fit that criteria, right? Find more people in my outlying regions that maybe don't know about my skip pay options or don't know that they can do it online, so that way I can market to them.
And you may already have something like that in your marketing plans to say, I offer an online option for skips, so I'm going to find everybody who lives outside a 25-mile radius and market to them, but now you're going to have the numbers to back it up.
I always like the concept of identifying, having that curious mind, and then finding the other people that fit that mold, right? So credit unions should start thinking about that when I'm looking at this data. Now that I've found the population, who are the others that are in this club? Even though they're not in this population, or maybe performed the skip pay during that period, they still might fit that overall membership persona. So lots of different opportunities to consider when we start looking at the Common Bond. Now, one of the great features associated with this particular dashboard is the analysis feature, which I just popped into here. So the analysis feature actually takes us into a lot of the statistics that we were kind of just talking about and summarizing that into our screen here. So at the top of the screen, I'm just looking at the last month. So in this particular example, this credit union had 582 skip payments last month for 499 members. If I look at the total amount of fees that were collected, $23,000 alone they've made on skip pays last month. I'd say that's pretty successful. $23,000 a month, I'd sure want that as a credit union as skip pay fees. Now, I know that this credit union actually offers an annual program that allows their members to actually process skip pays at any time during the year. So if you were questioning as to whether or not there's value in actually reviewing that information and offering an annual skip pay solution, I think this one credit union's example has given us some great details associated with that. If I have the ability to make $23,000 a month on almost 500 members, what are my thoughts related to offering this on an annual basis or offering this on a monthly basis? Would I have more exposure? If I look at the online versus internal activity, I get that breakdown as well. I don't have to do the math. The UBase will do the math for you. We then provide you with the total collected and remaining interest and all that other sort of good stuff associated with these particular groups. We then provide you with some statistics as the most used and least used program. Looks like it's both the same here, so my guess is more than likely they have just one program that they offer every single year, which is probably why it doesn't have a year or a holiday or anything along those lines. It's just called Skip a Payment.
Right.
I then have most used and least used loan. What loan is skipped the most? What loan is skipped the least? Which employee is skipping the most loans? And what is my most active month and year? Now, I'm only looking at June 6th to July 6th here, so really my opportunities there are quite limited. So I'm only really looking at June, hence why June is the option that I see the list in. And I always find it interesting, this last option on this screen is the active time frame. One of my members actually skipping their fees. Now, when you look at the midnight to 8 a.m. realm, those have to be all online banking. Unless your branch has some really unique hours, more than likely those are just online banking only. Same thing for the 5 p.m. to 12 a.m. What times of day are members actually processing those particular transactions? Question just came in. If we have offered skip pays but manually, is there any way to input past history into the system? Nancy, haven't had that question before, ironically. If you have the data that would be able to fulfill this particular dashboard, it is something that we could consider, but we'd have to take a look at whatever data you have. So we'd have to understand what the data is. Haven't done it before. Most credit unions would probably just kind of start fresh going forward with their tracking and analysis purposes. What are some of the other things you see here, Annalyn? If I start looking at this data, we're just looking at June 6th to July 6th. I mean, the filter criteria that we have on the previous screen can have a huge impact on what I see here, right?
Yeah, definitely. And you can be if you're, rather than losing your spot on this screen, there is a toggle button in the bottom, the very bottom there, that orange toggle says filtered by next to it. And if we click, it'll actually fill in what our filters on the previous screen were.
So if I had filtered by employee ID, if I had filtered by online banking only, I would be able to see that information accordingly, right?
Right, and this is important because whenever you're working with data, you really need to be aware of your framework, your context at all times. Otherwise, when you attempt to communicate the numbers to someone else later, you may be speaking on two different pages, right? So you say, up top there, we've got 61% of online opt-ins versus 39% of internal opt-ins. And they're thinking that for the whole year, oh my gosh, that's not, that's great. But we're just looking at the last month when we recently launched an online. So keeping the context is really important when you're both looking to interpret the data and then to be able to communicate it out to someone else properly. And it's important to keep in mind too, that when Keegan mentioned, obviously most active month is June, because that's what we're looking at. That applies for all of the other items here as well. So you can get a whole different picture if you've expanded that out to the entire year to date, essentially.
First quarter, even 6 months,
exactly.
Whatever time frame you desire to look at.
And always, of course, whenever you see either hundreds or zeros somewhere on a dashboard, your eye's going to be drawn to that. So I have a question on why maybe we see zeros, only zeros in the interest collected column.
So interest collected, very good question, Annalyn. As part of the configuration within the skip pay program, credit unions actually have the option to say, pay all accrued interest at the time that they perform the skip pay. So in this particular case, this credit union does not require them to pay the interest due at the time they skip their payment, hence why everything is zero there. Now, I haven't seen too many credit unions actually pursue that option in their skip pay programs that, hey, you got to pay all accrued interest as well, but it is an option. So in that particular case, you do see that there is an option for zero. And I do have the ability to actually hide the interest if that's something I don't even want to see on the screen. So if I just want to look at the data here and I want to hide the interest capabilities because I don't do anything related to interest, or I'm not really concerned about what the accrued interest is on those particular loans that had a skip payment performed, I can remove that from the screen. My favorite thing, actually, looking at this particular screen, is the fees waived. Zero. I don't know too many other fees that have zero amount that were waived, so I'd give props to this credit union and any other credit union that has established a routine or a machinery where staff isn't waiving the fees. Now, that doesn't mean that they weren't necessarily providing an account adjustment at a later time, but at the time that a skip payment was performed, I didn't waive the fee. I might, as a credit union, start thinking about what are the other fees that I can create that are similar to a skip pay fee that helps out the member, and I, the credit union, get paid. I think that's an interesting concept for all of us to start thinking about. How can we provide a benefit and get paid for that particular service?
And one final thing that, at least for me, I'm seeing on this screen is I find it interesting and valuable to see the total of payments skipped after the due date of the loan.
Yeah.
We've got 89 of those, and that might be something you want to keep an eye on and maybe make sure that doesn't go up to a certain number, or at least just in general be able to provide the analytics to someone who's needing to know.
Or maybe track and trend that percentage on a monthly basis, or by program, how many opt-ins do I have after the due date? Now, that could just be somebody who says, holy crap, I'm late, I don't have the money to pay, I'm just going to go ahead and skip my payment, and they still meet your criteria. Or it could be somebody who's really in a situation that might eventually become into a collection situation. So you got to start thinking about those concepts and tracking that information over time so that you guys can help build that story over time.
Yep, definitely.
Cool. Well, I don't have anything else to talk about this on this dashboard. I hope that all of you guys are doing a skip pay program in CU Base. If not, reach out to me. I'd love to help you guys configure it and move in the appropriate direction. And then after that, we'd love to talk about how we can help you analyze and provide some of those board packet style reports or reporting capabilities associated with this dashboard. So look forward to touching base with you guys next Thursday. I think we're talking about the tiered services monthly analysis. So look forward to chatting with you guys next week. Thanks a lot, everybody.